Guys, thank you all so much for coming to a marketing talk. I know it can sound like being told to eat your vegetables, so I really appreciate that you're here. On theme with what Leighton was talking about, a lot of marketing, it can be seen as being a necessary evil, but what I'm going to argue to you today is that it can feel really awkward because it's actually a lot about radical vulnerability. It's really telling people exactly who you are, and that's always a really scary thing to do. So you can feel a lot of resistance, so you can feel a lot of hesitation or fear about it. So a lot of this talk is just letting you know that it's okay. It's okay to be scared and do it anyway. It's okay to be scared and have fun with it. But we're also going to get into specifics. So for the talk that we have today, everyone's homework is to make sure that they have Twitter. The way that I enforce this is that if you want to ask me a question in the talk, you have to tweet it to me. We don't do hands up, we don't do microphones. That's really good because it makes you have Twitter, which is good marketing homework, but also it gives a voice to people that are really shy, because I don't know about you, I'm up here talking, but I can't like put my hand up in someone else's talk. I would just like cry. I'm just like way too nervous about it. And I really, in the interest of radical vulnerability, pardon me, I'm really excited to come and talk to you, but like I'm also scared. Like this is really fun, but it's still scary for me anyway. So yeah, it's kind of one of the messages. So what we're going to talk about today, this is a marketing talk that is about crafting marketing messages that are for people, for your players, for your press, and for content creators. It's kind of like same, but different for a lot of it. So really breaking it down for you about how they do need to be different, when and how you do need to change gears. So, my GIF started working. This is so good. We're going to talk about approaching forming relationships with these groups. A lot of marketing and dating advice is like super interchangeable. It's about like respect and being your authentic self. So, like you can read Dolly magazine or you can go to my talk. It's pretty much similar. And yeah, chatting with these groups appropriately, giving people what they want when they want it. Again, dating advice, love it. I'm also going to go into some examples and templates. You can take photos of anything that's an example from a client. I would have like blanked it out or redacted it probably. But this is still like an open floor talk. Again, you can tweet anything, you can share anything, that's all completely fine. Marketing, a whole lot of it is not about being right, but it is about being like open-hearted and open to experimentation. I've done a whole lot of stuff. Again, vulnerable, terrified, happy, excited marketer. If you ever come across like a super smug, mega confident marketer who is just honestly like, I know exactly what we're going to do and I know exactly how it's going to go, you should like run a mile. Marketing is about experimentation. It's about creativity. It's like half science, half art. So a lot of the marketing talk is not telling you specifically what to do, but it's giving yourself permission to try and giving yourself permission to experiment and have a strategy. If you're scared of it, don't put it off. It gets less scary if you do it over time. A lot of marketing is like dating advice, but a lot of marketing is like fitness advice. Like find what's fun for you, do a little bit of it and build it up over time. Don't just like put it off and then try and do all of it at once because you'll like hurt yourself. All right, so yeah, I've done lots of things, but this talk is not about me. I'm up here and you have to listen, so First things first, we're going to talk about crafting marketing messages for specific people. But if you're trying things, and if you've been trying things for a while and it's just not working, like nobody's responding, everyone seems confused or everyone seems bored, you need to like take it right back. Don't just be like, I'll figure out the marketing as I make the game, or people will love it once they play it, or people will love it once I've got more of a concept. That's just like red flag. If no one is with you and excited at the concept stage, it's not going to get better once you've built the whole thing, basically. You can experiment a lot with the internet. What a lot of people don't understand is that, like every other step of game development, you can test and you can iterate on your actual marketing assets. If you have a trailer, the people that see the trailer for the first time should not be the public. Like you need to draft that, you need to iterate that, you need to share it a lot and test it a lot. Be as clear as you can be before going out to the public. Like game development, what is better about marketing now is that the tools are in your hands. You don't necessarily have to pay someone like me. You don't necessarily have to pay a huge conglomerate or use really expensive tools. You can use cheap, easy, beginner-friendly kind of tools, and we'll talk a bit more about that. But yeah, like find tools, experiment, get that data. player data, analytics, marketing research, they sound like super not fun and maybe like a necessary evil, but it actually brings you closer to your potential players. It can actually get really addictive and super fun. So it is just about experimenting and find what you find super exciting. Is it like making yourself share a GIF once a day or a GIF every couple of days and then see how it works? Is it using Twitter polls? Is it doing Reddit AMAs? Like, is it a whole lot of demo stuff on show floors? Like, you can find what works for you and have fun with it. So before we get into specifics, if no one's into the concept, really think about the concept, basically. Reconsider. Before the mortgage, before the everything, which you shouldn't do anyway. This isn't a finance talk, though. Let's talk audiences. This can be a good slide to take a photo of. It shows similarities and differences between these three groups while I grab some water. Cool, so players. Players may arguably be the most important. They're definitely the ones that can be the hardest to reach and the hardest to understand authentically. Testing your marketing assets with game developers is not the way to test marketing assets. You need to test with the general public, and like the previous talk here was just talking about, you need to have an idea of your target audience. Your target audience and your understanding of them does not begin and end with demographics. You don't need to understand your player as, we're pretty sure it's like 25-year-old Canadian women. It's a lot less about that, but it's a lot more about psychographic player profiles. So that's like, why have they come to this game? Is it because they love customization? Is it because they love Is it because they love mastery? Is it because they love socializing? Is it because they love destruction? Like, what kinds of emotions do your players want to feel? That can often be a way more effective way to actually segment and understand and build player profiles. Some ad tools or some marketing tools do only let you segment by demographic. That's okay. But in terms of the qualitative and quantitative feedback you're getting from players from the concept stage all the way through to launch and post, you want to understand much more about the emotions and motivations for these players. So players, hard to understand and hard to reach, but the game is for them. Players have this kind of give to me mentality, which a lot of us talk about. They want to be excited before the launch. They want to get the facts. They want to get the hype. When I say offer me a home for my hype, what I'm saying is that your marketing channels need to be a little bit of a home and a bit of a community that they want to hang out in, they want to go to. Depending on what type of game you're building, it might be awesome for you to have a Discord channel. It might be great for you to have a forum and chat on your Steam forums, you know, if it's a game with live ops. But basically, players want a home for the hype. They want to be excited before, during, after, and around the game. So they want messages that tell them where to go and sell them the dream, basically, in an authentic way. Otherwise, they'll just be pissed off later. They also, you know, they want updates. They want updates on how you're going. It's not like super technical bug fixes, usually, depending on the player, but a lot of it's like, we're working on the Easter update. We're working on this. Whoa, it's Kerry's birthday. Like, they want updates. They want you to look alive, even if the game isn't out yet. Press. Press's message is like, share with me. Press want the story. So players will get super excited about the trailer. Some press will cover your trailer, but the press want the trailer with the facts written. Press don't want to watch your trailer and then interpret and report on it. The press would like you to give the trailer, but then say, this debuts these 3 key features that we're doing, so that they can like copy and paste and build the article around it. So again, it's like different mediums and getting clever with that. The press want your story. The players might not find it super exciting that you're like Alabama dog groomers in your previous life. Some players might think that's cool. The press will think it's really cool. So they're a lot more interested in you and the story. Where's the game come from? Where's the inspiration from? To give them things to report about and get excited about before the game's even launched. The press want to know what's exciting about you, probably a lot more than the players and a lot more than content creators. They want to know what's interesting about the game. The players and content creators will share what's interesting and notable about your game with each other, but the press really will struggle to find a reason to cover you if you're not interesting in some degree. What inspired the creation, and they want fresh news. Players will just get hyped and just talk to each other about the same features and what they're looking forward to forever. But more traditional press, they need the news and they need it now. The press They need material that is notable for different reasons. It has to be relevant and recent. It needs to be notable because of like who you are or where you've come from, or this is the first time you've done something. Or, you know, if you're talking to local press, they're like the local developer from the Penrith so-and-so, you know, that can be a reason that the press is interested. But a content creator in the Ukraine will not find it interesting that you're based in Penrith. Content creators, their kind of message is like, enable me. So again, it's like a Venn diagram where like all of your central marketing messages and what's cool about your game is this delicious cake in the middle, but the press people are like, I like icing, and the players are like, I want the flour bit, and the content creators are like, I just want the biggest piece imaginable, and don't tell me I can't have the whole cake kind of thing. A little bit angry, I have low blood sugar, so it's just creeping out. So yeah, content creators, they want to be enabled. Content creators often want to feel cool. A lot of them are kids. A lot of them aren't professionals. This is a hobby. A lot of them find it mega cool that you make games and they find you super cool as a person. So if they feel like you're kind of friends, you do have to work on healthy boundaries. But a lot of them will find it really cool that they're talking directly to the developer. A lot of the time, a game developer might want to work with my team as consultants when we were really doing a lot of that kind of work, but I'd have to explain to them, sometimes it's just better coming from the developer because you're the one that's really cool. I'm not the one that's really cool to them. The content creators really want to be signal boosted. The press do as well, and players do get super excited when you share their fan art, but content creators like depend on it. Like they're trying to Katamari snowball people, so they really want you to share on their channels. They really want you to signal boost the streams that they're doing and things like that. And offering fun content to react to. A lot of that has to be visual content, whereas press, it's a lot more written content. So again, there's just some differences there. The content creators want you to know their community. They want you to know, yeah, your community is really into like fart jokes and irreverent humor, and you really love Devolver titles, so this is why you're gonna love this. Or it's like your streams are like chill streams, so this dog grooming game's gonna be perfect for them. Like if you're able to say, I get what you're about, and this is why this game's great for you and your community, they'll super love it. And just like supply me with the goods, content creators often just want to like register their interest and like get on the guest list, and then they just want you to give them keys or give them demo access once they can do something with it. They're not super interested in being re-engaged a lot of times before the game's actually launched. But yeah, they do really, really want keys, like lots of keys, like maximum keys for giveaways and things like that, whereas traditional press don't do giveaways that often. And for players, a lot of the time, they might not want a key. It's way more exciting for them to be really hyped and then make that purchase. So again, different motivations for different groups. But how do I make relationships with these groups before the game is done? Players. Again, this is same but different. You need to share marketing messages, you need to share on channels, you need to be using social media, you should consider engaging with consumer shows, you should consider engaging with paid user acquisition depending on your business model, but even premium or free to play can have a lot to learn from ads and from user acquisition. What's slightly different though, players, they'll enjoy all of these things where they can have access to you and crowdfunding campaigns. On the flip side, the press might not be able to report on you or review you if they cover your crowdfunding campaign. So, you know, differences there. The press primarily contacting them on Twitter and contacting them through emails, one-on-one emails, whereas with players, we'd recommend mailing lists and like mailing list communities. With players, I'd just be like, hey there, cool beans. But with press, I'd be like, hi, you know, John Milner from Game Informer. I really loved, you know, this piece that you did about the best Halloween carved pumpkins in games. You know, just get really specific because we're colleagues and we're talking one-to-one. Whereas players can actually get a little bit unhealthy if you really go one-on-one with them a lot with email. Press, they want things like press kits. They want the assets to be easy for them to grab. Content creators, you can collect them by, you know, talking to them by building a press list, demoing at events, doing your research and just being like, would Jacksepticeye play this game, or is it more like a Juicy Cupcakes kind of game? And just actually putting in the legwork to appreciate them. Yeah, and sharing demos online can be really great for content creators. We just launched a horror game that's been doing really well, where we had a really small crowdfunding campaign, which we did because this solo developer did not have community at all. He'd just like been solo deving for almost 3 years, not sharing anything with the public. And we're like, okay, like we know we're launching around Halloween. We're going to need to get a huge booster shot and a kickstart to this community building. So let's do Kickstarter. People can play a demo straight away. People can get on board, literally put money down and get super engaged. And then we had like a base of 200. And then that 200 put in so much legwork that grew to like 2,000. And then it meant we had this like really strong advocate base for when we actually did the launch. But we had to be really strategic about that. And that was still authentic. I still wasn't tricking anyone into doing anything, but you literally had to be like, if we're going to have enough, you know, quote unquote sleeper agents that we can activate on launch, we're going to have to do something really serious right now to get people really engaged right now, because it's like, you know, less than 6 months to launch, and you've been developing this for 3 years. Yeah, when do I talk to them? When do I market at them? Again, we're talking about authenticity. A good marketer or a person on the team is never going to make you do something that really makes your skin crawl. If it's something where you feel a bit nervous about doing it, you should really push through and do it anyway. You will find the experimentation very rewarding. I've seen developers be like, I hate Twitter, to Twitter is actually super fun and this is very meaningful for me and this is helping me with my decision making. I've seen that turnaround happen really quick. But lots of people are like, I'm not naturally a super social person, or I'm not really excited about social media, so I don't know what to post. This is a good list of like, this is the bare minimum to post about. These are like bare minimum marketing milestones to make noise about, like on social media or through your mailing list or through ad campaigns. These are the important things. So yeah, just make events around them, make assets around them, celebrate them, be genuinely excited by them. The whole thing, you know, I talked about Katamari and I talked about snowballs. A lot of it is about picking someone up and taking them on the journey with you. A lot of what I talk about with marketing is about making a really authentic impression on someone. If that resonates, then they just like hold your hand and go with you. It's kind of like playing flower, like you're brushing against all of these people in the public spheres, and some of them are press and some of them are content creators and some of them are players, and I just realized that sounded really creepy, like don't touch people, but like, you know, you're actually picking them up and you're taking them with you, like on the breeze of like the dream of what your game's going to be and what you're trying to make. And that's a really authentic, really lovely thing. It's terrifying when you have people with you that are super excited by your dream, but that's a really amazing thing, because if you've done a very good job of explaining who you are and what you stand for and what you're making, the people that are coming with you are like super on board. So a lot of marketing is just giving yourself an opportunity to make contact with more people, so the right people like jump on basically and they come with you on the journey. So the previous talk was talking about Ooblets. They did a great job of that. They're like, we're about sweetness and pastels and cuteness and this like quirky town, and it's a little bit fantasy and a little bit farming. And people were like, I love this. The world's a trash fire. I want to escape to there. And they were just always reinforcing these messages. A lot of what we talk about is about our pancake theory. So the pancake theory for my team that we spend a lot of time teaching to devs and students is that your game is a pancake stack. Your game should have 3 special things about it that you would never change, that you'd never trade away. These 3 things that are like the soul of your game. So we would use like Animal Crossing as an example. Animal Crossing, one pillar is like sweet art style with like cute animal fantasy characters. One of them would be like, it's a gentleness and it's a slow, do it at your own pace kind of a feeling to it. And another one might be creation and customization. Like those are 3 things that Animal Crossing's not going to trade away. It just won't be Animal Crossing if you trade it. It's very important for you to understand those 3 things for your game, because any marketing asset that you have, any marketing channel you have, has to be so upfront and clear about those 3 things. So your Steam store has to show all of those 3 things. Any trailer should reinforce these 3 things at any one time. Because if someone likes one of those things, statistically speaking, they're like 30% likely to turn into a fan. If someone likes 2 of those pillars, 60% plus likely. If someone likes all 3, 90% plus likely to be like a super fan. So if you can be super upfront, and like Leighton was saying, just be vulnerable and be authentic about those 3 things for your game, the people that are on board for 1, 2, or 3 of those things, they're real fans. And you don't have to be scared, because they will love what you've made, because it's very honest and true. Emails, what do they want in them? Lots of people are really scared about sending emails and being annoying, but dramatic pause. as we said, players, like, do be careful. We really recommend keeping them as a mailing list community. And maybe that mailing list community, if you use a press list or whatever you do, might use their full name. But just for you, you know, psychologically, you can break it down to one-on-one. But if one player is making you uncomfortable, you can cut them off. If one player is being an asshole, you can cut them off. You can block them. It's not your job to take shit from everybody. Your game is not for everybody. And don't make space for the assholes in your community, basically. Turf them out. But players, email them with a mailing list. Updates like every 2 weeks to maybe monthly. Like, it really depends on the momentum of where you are in your game's life cycle. If you're about to launch, you can do like countdowns every day. Probably not every day for 20 days, but maybe like every day for 5 days or 4 days, you know, get people excited. But if your game is still a year out, maybe every 3 weeks, maybe every month, maybe even less if you really need to keep your head down. But, you know, I'd be worried that the trail's going to go cold if you go slower than that. Keep the players in the loop, keep them looking forward to the game, keep it really positive, even if you're like really tired or really worried at that time. Try and keep positive about it. Believe in their belief in you, and like find a way to identify and isolate that belief and use it as a comfort, because game dev's super freaking hard. I was just about to swear. I have very low like blood sugar right now, and it makes me really sweary. So if I do, I'm super sorry. If you're not from Australia, it doesn't mean I'm angry at you. It's okay. It just means I care a lot. Press. So email tailored, direct, one-on-one emails that include the fact and milestones. If you are super pressed for time, if you are super exhausted, you can do a group BCC if you have to. BCC, not CC, because otherwise they'll like tweet snarky shit about you. So if you have to do a group BCC, you can. You will have better results if the emails are as tailored as they possibly can be. It's way better to have an amazing press list of 20 to 30 traditional press people that are such a good match, you know, the Venn diagram's almost a circle, than it is to have 200 that you just blast. And just, you know, talk about them before the game, get them excited by the game, you know, let them know that you understand them, you respect their work, you read their work, because all press people are like miserable, overworked, stressed out, and, you know, having a real tough time. So be kind. Don't apologize, don't waffle, don't go on too long, don't say sorry to bother you, none of that. If you need to, write the whole thing out in full and then show it to like someone like me or a friend that's like, just cut the crap, anything unnecessary. They don't have time to read your apologies or your shyness. Like, just give the facts straight up and just be really positive about it. But yeah, you can test your emails on friends before you actually send them. Like, that's okay. I give you permission. Make it beautiful, make it good to look at, embed a GIF, not 20 GIFs, maybe 1 or 2 GIFs, attach a couple screenshots that look real good. I really like emojis in the subject line as well. Just makes inboxes fun, guys. Like, you know, it's a good idea. Like, just get in line with the emojis. Content creators, that is one thing about MailChimp. MailChimp didn't used to support emojis in subject lines, so, you know, that would make it hard for the way I like to do mailing lists, but I think they're going to change that, or maybe they have. Tweet at me. Does anyone know? Has it changed? Has it changed? Yeah? Yeah? Oh my God, I love it. Good. Content creators, they do like emails, but they really can't do much until they have a demo or a key for a launch version. So just getting them on board and saying, I think your community is going to love it. We're going to launch roughly around here. I think you'll be into it and your community will like it because blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make sure you get a demo key. I'm going to make sure that you get a key in advance. You know, that's kind of what they want to hear. They just want to be like, yeah, I think it fits my community. Awesome. You know, I'll put it down and give me a key when it's ready. But, you know, still make sure, even if someone's on board a while ago, or even if you never heard back from them, just email them again once you have more news, because a lot of them are just, their email inboxes, guys, I've seen it. It's a nightmare. Like, it's just hundreds upon hundreds of emails. So a lot of the time, don't hesitate to go back once you have the next like round of news. Reminder again, if I've said anything or if you have any questions for whatever, just tweet the questions, because I can talk the leg off a table and I'm not sure if we'll have time at the end, but I will hang out on Twitter, always on the internet, if you do have any questions. Email dangers. Just digest that for a second. Players, again, don't feel like you have to cater to every request or critique. a really important thing for game developers is to understand that your brain tries to defend you. Your brain tries to be anxious in advance to prevent problems, which like doesn't work. So you might launch a game and it's going really well, but all you can see is the one person that left a really rude review. So again, don't feel like you have to cater to everyone. Sometimes it can be really helpful to, instead of reading reviews, which are really qualitative, set your own quantitative milestones. So set your own like velocity for sales that you want, set your own number milestones. So even if the words can be distracting, you can look at the numbers and you can feel good about the numbers. And just, just be honest about all the complicated feelings you're going to be having before, during, and after launch. Because players can make you feel amazing, players can make you feel awful, and it's not really fair to your entire player base if you get extremely obsessed with the dickheads, basically. They are few and far between, but they might scream really loudly. But you need to understand when and if they are outliers, and you need to practice having a good set of like filing them away, basically. If your player interactions are getting really overwhelming or very distracting, delegate. Try and keep firm lines around when and how you interact with your players. Like say it's 20 minutes at the start of the day and then I don't look at it again, or I look at it at the start and the end of my day. Like experiment with it, because marketing channels, as amazing as they can be, it can feel rewarding to just give and give and give on those channels, but you've still got to get a game done as well. And some days might feel amazing and some days might feel terrible. So a lot of this is about emotional hygiene. Press. You do have to put your research in with press. The dangers with press is that, if they're a really bad match, you've just wasted your time, or maybe you've wasted a key and you'll never hear back again. It could go really badly where you've group CC'd and they get really super pissed off because some of them don't want their details shared publicly. It just doesn't look classy. It doesn't look like it's special. It doesn't look like the news was made for them, so they can react badly about it. I don't see too much tweeting and shaming because that is really mean for them to do, and we all make mistakes, and I've made mistakes. But again, if you really screw up someone's name in an email, it's just small social courtesies, and social etiquette still applies. So, if you really screw it up with a press person, you might just need to kiss that goodbye and be like, well, I learned a hard lesson, and then move on to someone else and try and build the relationship again. Don't get their names wrong. If you have a Nintendo game, don't pitch it to an Xbox outlet. If you're going to PAX Australia and if you just copy pasted the whole press list you got and sent them all the same email, and if you did that CC, oh my God, I'm so upset at you. Don't do that. Don't just scattershot blast it by email. I know it can be really tempting to be I just need to get it done, chop, 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 send an email, blast it, sent it, done, not looking again. But you really have to get more specific, more creative, and more personal with it. Content creators, damage can be done with content creators. Again, as we said, I'm so sorry if you're a content creator. I don't hate all of you. But a lot of them are just hobbyists. A lot of them are just straight up kids. A lot of them have a brand that is about being a negative asshole. So you do have to be super careful about who you engage with and how you engage with them. It can be really hard to form trust with them. A lot of them don't have an institution or even a professional reputation. They just have a consumer reputation. So, I've had embargoes get broken. I've had streamers sell off the spare keys. I've had a million nightmares. Or people that are cool, just ripped it, just put it on the internet. Fuck you, bitch. It's been real bad sometimes. So you do have to be super careful about who you choose to work with. If you can talk to other developers, or if you can see other developers that maybe their little pancake stack shares some pancakes with you, you can talk to them to be I really loved the indie gamer chick streamer. Was she good to work with? Did you contact her? Did she just pick up the game? You can actually talk to other creators about how they form their relationships. And if someone just seems like a good person, you can feel a lot more inclined to work with them. So there are content creators like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye who are, some of the streamer royalty. They're really nice to work with. If you have a paid relationship with them, it's so fucking expensive to work with them. But if they just authentically pick it up and they just play it, which they do sometimes, they're actually really nice to work with. They tend not to slag, they tend not to dog whistle to get you review bombed and stuff. But then you've got the PewDiePies of the world that have been really toxic to work with because their community is super toxic, or they just don't really think about it before they just say this game is shit. And Anyway, I was going to change the subject before I get really angry. So just be really careful. Press people are generally really good about embargoes. A lot of the time, creators might not be. So again, small list, try and build a trust relationship. Maybe think about just giving them keys on launch instead of keys before, because that little embargo period can be really important. I'd also say with press people, and again, social etiquette applying, emailing them and saying, hi, this game's going to be coming out in 2 weeks. I have Steam keys for early press access. What I need you to do is have a look at these times. This is when the embargo lifts. This is when the game goes public. I need you to reply just saying, I agree to these terms. Even just that simple social exchange where they have committed and it's in writing that they agree to these terms has made my embargo leak rate go down absolutely heaps from the mistakes I made early in my career. So just asking for a little bit of buy-in. It also means you're not wasting keys and wasting time by sending keys up front to people that might not actually be interested. Again, this all sounds super specific, but the best thing for you to do is not put off experimentation, get creative, find what works with you, take it way back early and craft some press messages, give yourself permission to totally screw up or get the mistakes out of the way before the launch so you feel more comfortable and more prepared when launch comes around. Oh my God, running out of time. Here is an email example for players that you can take a photo of for a fictional game called Cutie Farm. Again, this will demonstrate the way that the structure is different. Again, super short. All of my emails are generally really short. There's no fat there. It's just about the facts. So if I reread my email and find the typos with you as we all read them, it's just a greeting. We hope you're having a great week. Then let them know what you've been doing. The reason I'm getting in touch is blah. Embed the trailer right there. We're super excited to hear your thoughts, so give them a suggestion of what to do. You can help signal boost by doing blah. So again, if they're super excited, give them something to do that helps you straight away, straight up suggest something that would be helpful. Casey from the team, behind the scenes, make them feel like they've got this secret pass and they're in this secret club. Getting the cool information, cute GIF, freaking love GIFs, and then more actions. We're going to be at the Alabama Gamer Fest, so this is what you can do if you want to come and see us. Come on down, demo, reminder that there's a demo, thank you. Super simple, but this is the kind of message that players get super excited by. This is for the same theoretical game, but for press, so there's a little bit more meat there. Again, we're talking about what the press are interested in, so it's an example of where they've come from. If the players are on your mailing list, it means they know what your game is and they're hyped by it anyway, so you don't need to remind it. The press will need to have an explanation. So Cutie Farm is a game about adorable farm animals, farm life with candy animals. So you are reminding them or reinforcing what the messages are. I loved your recent Kotaku article about ooblets, so giving context for why I'm getting in touch, being respectful, being pleasant, being polite. And again, the reason I'm getting in touch today is the narrative trailer, reminder of the game, reminder of why my team is interesting, a suggestion of what you'd like to do next. So we'd love to chat to you. I can chat with you about this, this, and this. Some developers just say, I'm available for interviews. And I'm like, I got no idea what we would talk about. If you're able to say what it's like coming to RTS development from being a chess master, I'm like, great, this article writes itself. That sounds super fun. So if you're able to say, I'm available for interviews and I can talk to you about X, Y, and Z, that's not rude. That's not telling the press what to do or what to ask, but it is suggesting. It's opening the door to say, these are the cool themes we could wrap our stuff around. And again, GIF, everybody gets GIFs. And then again, I'll be at this event. If you're in town, I'll show you the demo. Let's have a chat, smiley face. Okay, this changes a little bit for content creators. So again, even the subject line, new trailer for the cutest game ever, hyperbole and a half, haha, reference. Emojis in the subject line, but again, it's I'm being bombastic, I'm being hyperbolic, I'm using their language, I'm using examples of the way that they label their videos and things like that. So, I'm borrowing a little bit there. If you're a streamer, or if you understand the esoteric, weird, abstract language of streamers where they verbally say like emoticons. Like if you understand that, you can be like PogChamp, Kappa, whatever. Like that's pretty exciting for a streamer. If you can do it in like a not dorky dad way, like I just did it. Like if you can do that with authenticity, like this game is Kappa Kappa, whatever. That could be super exciting for streamers. That could work really well. I've never been able to speak to streamers on their level, but if you get it, or if you're authentically a fan, you know, and you can like use their emoji's not the right word. What's it called? The little icon thing? Yeah, emote. Thank you. Yeah, emote. If you can like put their emotes in the email, whoa, that's awesome. Like that's a more authentic, better, more fun way than they've probably been approached all week. So go for it. We loved your recent Ooblets video. We think this will be perfect for your community. Again, all of them see themselves as having community around them. That's their value proposition. So it's not readers, but it's community. Tell them what the game's about. The team's been hard at work. We're getting in touch because blah. We hope you like it. If you want a future like launch key, you know, like suggest an action, please respond, tell me you want a key. The demo can be found here. You can try it out now and see if your community dig it. A lot of the time, content creators will really appreciate a short way to test it with their community, because a lot of them aren't going to commit to a full walkthrough if their first video doesn't reach a certain milestone. Again, they have quantitative and qualitative data that they look for, or that their team looks for if they're super big. And also streamers, the one thing that I actually fucked up and should have included is that, you know, the Cutie Farm demo just runs for 20 minutes. Streamers and content creators need to plan their content. They schedule everything like to the nth degree if they're a professional one. So telling them like the demo is this long, the average playtime for the full game is this long, so they can say, cool, that's like a one and done, or it should be a 3-parter or something. Like they're a lot more interested in that. Whereas the press, you know, you could include an average playthrough is blah, but it's like exceedingly rare for press these days to do a full walkthrough and a full review in the very traditional sense. Often they're like, I want an interview, I'll play the demo, I'll report on the game and I'll report on the person, but they won't do a full review of the whole game. Again, that's because content creators have kind of taken that over, and the public aren't as interested. Press people are probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but that's fine. And again, you know, I'm going to be at this event in case you're here. A lot of the time content creators, you know, would love to be seen with game developers, be seen to be close with game developers. You know, they're part of the crew, and again, test, you know, is my community going to be excited by it? I took some selfies with the developers this weekend. Everyone's into candy animals. Okay, I'm going to make sure I put space in my August for this game, something like that. So one news beat, one new narrative trailer, but 3 different facets of how to craft that email. Like, and I did this in like 5 minutes after like 3 wines. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be hard. It can be subtle and different. Drink responsibly. Sorry, I should not have said that. But, you know, it doesn't have to be super painful. And again, it's just like draft it, test it, draft it, and then show it to someone else and come back to it. Like drafting and sending an important email on the same day is often not a good idea. I know a lot of us are super time poor, but feel free to just draft it and come back to it later. Cool, here's just some examples of some efficient communications. Lots of people are like, how do I do a launch tweet? These are just 3 super different ways of sharing some news. So you can have a bit of a look. All these people are good at marketing in their own ways, so, you know, follow them. So Lucy's tweet there, she's promoting her stream. She is immediately getting attention with emojis, and her URLs are like really short and I can immediately take action. But then she's going into more detail. This is what I'm doing, where, you know, she's using inclusive language, getting super specific. She's including visuals. A lot of the time the content creators also want to tag you again because they want you to share stuff. But, you know, this is super, super efficient and effective. Lucas Pope just launched the return of the Obra Dinn. You know, it's not a brand that suits a lot of emojis. I accept this sometimes. And, you know, it's just really plain. The action's right there. And it's not like, here's a link to Steam. It's literally like, go to my website and then you can choose your way to purchase from there. Like, he knows his own brand. He knows his own game. It's probably really unconscious for him, but it's just down to the ground. That's his brand and super suitable. Again, visuals make it look real good. And then local developer Grace did a super fun and awesome tweet to say, this game's not even out. It's just the wish lists are open and everyone is so fucking excited. This is a brand that's like emojis all the way. Grace, famous for frogs, lots of frogs. You know, all caps, yay, exciting. You know, go here. I really love that little like play button emoji and use it a lot. It's super fun. But yeah, the emoji is like a quick way of like, this is the action I would like you to take, and then check out the trailer, and then please RT, like just sharing all these messages. These are just good examples. Whenever you get good examples of stuff and you're just browsing on your phone, just take a screenshot. It might not be a composition that exactly works for your game or your team, but it can be like a Pinterest mood board for like your marketing down the line. If you see something that's done really cool, or if you see something that's done really badly, you know, take it, scrapbook it, hold on to it. Games marketing moves so quickly and can be so terrifying. You know, I totally feel you, but there's a lot of things you can do and little things you can pick up along the way that you can learn from. Again, like I said, there's no textbook. There's just an attitude, basically. Like there's a creativity and an openness that's going to put you in good stead, better than any specifics I can give you. No matter the audience, always remember these things. I'll come back to it. What are you saying? Why are you getting in touch right now? What is the actual point? The point needs to get established first, middle, and last. Why is this cool? Why is it relevant news? So again, all of these previous tweets were covering all or most of these things. Why is it cool and relevant? What do you want them to do next? That's the thing that a lot of developers miss out on. They're just like, hi, and then they just run away. They don't like give you something to do. So if you're like, okay, you played my demo at PAX Australia, here's the mailing list if you want to like get updates or keep in touch, or we'll let you know when the launch date's happening. That's like the number one pity that I see, is that people have spent thousands of dollars to be demoing at PAX, but then they haven't actually found a way to keep a hold of that community and build that community and take that person on the journey. Like, yes, you can learn a lot in the moment, but you should always try and take community with you, because you have to spend so much money to get players. Even if you don't have a game that works with paid user acquisition and has a really paid ad-based type acquisition funnel, you're still paying a lot. You're paying a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of just straight up cash to come in contact with players. So don't like waste that opportunity, basically. And then when you're tweeting, and then when you're doing your emailing, giving them something to do. Not every tweet has to be like, please do this and please do that, but like try and give your community a way to help you like once a week. You know, that's probably a pretty good rule of thumb. Make it feel good to look at. Like, does it look nice? It doesn't have to be emojis and GIFs, as much as I love those things, but is it visual? Does it read really well? Is it juicy? Is it fun? Like, do you want to hang out on your Twitter page? If you don't want to hang out on your Twitter page, other people probably don't. And the same thing goes for your store. So just always work. Like, even with stores, it's not set and forget. You can always tinker, you can always update. The stores update what you can include all the time. So yeah, basically like just make it feel really good to look at and make it a really authentic representation of the game. Yep, we all make mistakes. Give yourself permission. You will screw up your marketing. The worst screw up is to not do it though. The worst screw up is just to keep putting it off. Again, like healthy relationships and fitness and whatever else. Like don't put it off. You will make mistakes, but it's so much better to make little mistakes early in the piece than make the really big mistakes that make headlines later. So don't put it off. If you wait until your marketing's perfect, you'll never do it. You'll never share anything. That's really classic for game development, is wanting it to be perfect before you send it, or wanting the build to be beautiful before you send it to a publisher or whatever. But don't. Just get a lot more comfortable with making yourself like micro uncomfortable really frequently. Gosh, game dev's so fun. Yeah, get messy, find out what works for you by experimenting. I talked about a lot of things, but a lot of this is very Western-centric game development. A lot of the way games marketing gets done in Asia is super different, but the really good games marketers are still people that do their research, find what's fun, find what matches the game, and just like experiment. All right, thanks everybody. Yay. I just like made you clap for me. That was amazing. Yeah, it's like I suggest the action and then you take the action. It's amazing, it's working. Yeah, if you ever need feedback on something, you can always send me an email. You can always send me a tweet. I am going to pretty much stop, but I will be on Twitter and retweet questions and stuff like that. You can approach me during the week. I think I have to go back to the office this afternoon, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be here over the week. Basically, I know marketing is super scary, but it's scary because of vulnerability. It's not scary because it's evil. You can find a way that works for you. And yeah, if you're in doubt, chat to me, chat to others. Thanks so much.